Hello fantastic people, I hope you are doing great. Today I would like to show you 3 ways of creating rocks in Blender. Okay, so the first way of creating rocks will be a little bit manual, so we will not use any modifiers, but because of that we'll have the most control. So first thing I'm doing is selecting everything by pressing A and then X to delete everything. Then I'm pressing Shift A to add icosphere. This is probably the most rocky looking starting shape, so it's pretty convenient to work with it. But it has a little bit too much geometry, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this pop-up and decrease the subdivisions from 2 to 1. And now I'm pressing Tab to go to the edit mode, going to face mode by pressing 3, and I can start moving the faces around a little bit. So maybe something like that, then change to edges. Again, over here and over here. Then vertex, move this one up because I want to have the kind of flat bottom of the rock. Then maybe something like that. This method requires more creativity than other two that I will be showing, because here you really have to know where you want to go, what kind of rock you want to create. So there is no automation for you to do stuff. Basically everything that you do will be there. So yeah, yeah, this went a little bit too far, so maybe something like that. And now the magic is to bevel the vertices and edges. That's what will turn it into a little bit more rock looking object. So I'm selecting this vertex and pressing Ctrl Shift B, and then just creating this this kind of shape. Then you can do similar thing with edges. So I'm going to the edge mode, selecting edges, for example those two, and pressing Ctrl B. So you see the difference is that for the vertices it's Ctrl Shift B, and for edges is Ctrl B. Over here something strange is happening, so I will move the vertex a little bit, and if you want to move the vertex along the edge, you basically press G twice, and then you just move it along the edge. So now here we have face that is not flat, so what we can do, we can split it into triangles by pressing Ctrl T. Okay, great. Then let's maybe also create bevel this. Let's triangulate it a little bit. Maybe we can triangulate this one as well. Then let's move this one here, this one over here. And you see it slowly starts looking like a rock. So let's bevel this one as well. Move this one here. And here we have our rock. So the last thing I like to do is to move the rock up. So the origin point is at the bottom. This makes it a little bit easier to work with the object later on in the game engine. So here's our first rock. Let's move it to the side, and just want to show you quickly one extra thing, because this way of creating rocks is amazing for creating rock structures like obelisks and columns and stuff like that. So let's say here I have simple cube. Let's go to edit mode, move it up, just move this one down. I press I to inset it, and then extrude it up. Yes, then I extrude it once again, scale it up, and go up. So here I have very simple column. Then I'm adding 3 edge loops by pressing Ctrl R and using the mouse wheel to increase the amount of the loops. And then I can do Ctrl B, and you see I'm starting to creating kind of bevel here, right? But this kind of doesn't change the shape over here, because it's a flat surface. So the fun part is that you can use mouse wheel to increase the number of the loops there. So I'm adding 1 extra loop in the middle, and then pressing Ctrl and minus on the numpad, and then I can scale it down. Whoops, let's scale it in and press Shift Z so it will scale in X and Y, but not Z. So here, and you see suddenly we have like a different bricks or something like that. And then we can again add stuff over here like we did there. Here. I don't want to go here to more details because it's not really a rock, but I just wanted to let you know that this way you can really create great looking stuff very easily. So really the Control B thing is just brilliant, and you can create a lot of things very quickly with it. So let's put that on the side and have a look at the second method, which is using the Bisect tool. So for that, I press Shift A and add new cube. For that, I found out that cube works the best. I go to edit mode and move it up a little bit. If you wonder why I'm moving it up a little bit, and you notice that I always hold Control when I do that, this way it snaps to the grid, and basically once I move it from the default position in the a little bit up, right, what will happen, the origin point will be exactly at the bottom. So that's what I'm doing, or that's why I am doing it. Now, once we have selected everything, so you have to make sure you pressed A in edit mode, and over here you have somewhere the knife tool. So over here you have knife tool. If you press the mouse button, there will be this small selection box, so you can select the Bisect. And what Bisect does is basically goes through the whole object and cuts it into pieces. So this is pretty useful thing. But we want to select some extra options. So we want to clear outer and fill. So basically fill will, so maybe let's start with clear outer. So let's say we cut this one, right? And you see here hole. So basically this part was removed because we selected clear outer. If we would select clear inner, the other part would be deleted. And now if we select fill and repeat this action, right? So let's do that. You see this this hole was filled with a face. So what we can do now, we literally just go around and select all, cut, select all, cut, select all, cut. You just have to be careful which way you cut, because if you do it wrong way, basically the outer part will be not there where you would like it to be. So you just have to get used to it a little bit. Oh, that's exactly, you see I've done this mistake now. So over here, over here, and I am actually pretty happy already with it. So you see I already have rocky looking shape. Then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move a little bit the faces, maybe the same way as in the previous one, bevel some edges. And maybe this vertex over here. No, those two are too close to each other, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to select both of them in the vertex mode. Whoops, it hates me. Okay, because I have selected the wrong tool. So I select those two vertices, press M and merge at center. This way I have a little bit more space, and I'm sure that I won't collide with any other vertex. So here, Control Shift B, Control T, and yeah, I like it. This is my second rock. So let's move it to the side. And now the third way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add another icosphere. And now out of it create a rock formation shape. So here, instead of creating one single rock, I will more focus on creating something larger. So maybe over here. As you see, I pressed O in order to be in the proportional editing. So now when I move this face, basically some other faces around are moving depending on the radius of the circle. Of course, you can increase and decrease the size of the circle using your mouse wheel. So let's create something like that, then maybe over here, then to the side. Then we can extrude a little bit. And maybe also over here. Scale it down a little bit. Let's move those one down. And I think this can be it. So once I have that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start adding modifiers. So I have to go to this little wrench icon, go to the object mode. So I'm pressing tab, so I'm not in edit mode anymore. Press add modifier, and first thing, add subdivision surface. So this will create some extra geometry for me. It doesn't have to be crazy, it's just something that will be removing, but it's basically slightly better and a little bit more organic when we have more geometry like that. Then we can add triangulate, which will basically divide all quadric, or like all faces that are having more than 3 vertices will be changed to those like a split into such a faces that have always 3 vertices. So over here, okay, and oh, that's interesting. Oh, so you can even select what's the minimum size of the face to triangulate. And then what we do, we use the decimate modifier, and this is where the magic happens. So now as I decrease the ratio, you see it starts looking more and more like rock. And the good thing in this method is that once I have something that I'm happy with, like this one, right, I can very quickly create a lot of variations. So I can duplicate this one by pressing Shift D, move it, go to the edit mode, and you see I can just start grabbing stuff, move it in different directions. Let's maybe move that here, and this as well over here, this over here. And you see I have completely different looking rock, because basically the modifiers are always added on top of what we created there. So I can now copy this one. And of course it works with, it doesn't have to be the icosphere. This method would probably work very well also with subdivide, for example, cube. Or cylinder or stuff like that. With cylinder the problem are the top face and the bottom face, so it's always better to first split those ones or triangulate them or something like that. And you see we are getting quite a lot of, so for example we can do something like that, and you see we have now rock with a hole on at the top. And that's really it. So those are my 3 ways of creating rocks. Just to let you know, maybe just one small tip. It seems like it's not a lot of rocks, but generally if you have something like 5 to maybe 7 different rocks, if they are, what's important is they have very different shapes. So those ones are a little bit too uniform or too similar to each other in my opinion. But if for example this one would be more like a column, something GZ, and maybe increase that, something like that. Then maybe here. Basically, if you have a lot of different shapes, what you can do, you can then bash them together. So, and also of course you can rotate them. So this rock looks this way like that, but if you turn it and it goes into the ground, suddenly you have a nice flat rock. Then for example this one can be scaled down, put over here. So don't think about those rocks as only those that you see here. Basically they on their own are able to create really a lot of variation depending on the way they are rotated. So you see over here, then let's move this one over here, then maybe this one again over here, and you see it starts looking like a decent rock formation. Maybe another one over here. Let's move it here, scale it up, and so then you see it starts looking very, very organic. So here, maybe move it over here, even smaller, and here we are. Okay, so the last thing that we should do is probably to add a little bit of color to those rocks. So in order to do that, we have to change from the solid mode to the material preview. So we can go here, we can select one of the rocks, then press, basically you have to go to the material properties, which is over here, so this small circle, then press new, and that's creating a new material for us. So let's call it rock, and we have base color over here, and we basically can select the color for our rocks. And now, generally, I think we don't want our rocks to be that shiny, so what we can do, we can scroll down and decrease the specular and increase roughness. So at this moment, they are not shiny whatsoever, and if we want to apply this material to all of them very quickly, we can select all those rocks, select as the last one the one with material, and press Ctrl L, I believe, yes, and then link materials. And basically now they all have the same materials. As easy as that. Now, if you would like to use those models in Unity, I have tutorial over there on how to export them from Blender and import them to Unity. So I hope it will be useful for you. Also, just remember that the materials from Blender are not really compatible with materials from Unity, so there will be still a little bit of work you will have to do. Yeah, so again, that's all explained and mentioned in the tutorial over there. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a fantastic day. Love you and bye bye.